iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
Georgia Stitt, Kate Baldwin, thank you so much for joining iHeartRadio Broadway today.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
So, we're almost at the year shutdown of Broadway. Friday's the crazy 1-year anniversary. So everyone that's been coming on the last couple of days, I'm just checking in. How are you both doing? How are you surviving right now? And just what's the general feeling with Friday being the crazy 1-year anniversary of our community being shut down?
Yeah, it's shocking to look back and to really take stock of how it all progressed. And I must say, it's been I felt like I'm on a roller coaster. I'm sure most people would describe it that way too. There have been some highs, there have been some lows, but I feel like the roller coaster is chugging back up again. I don't know if it's spring. I don't know if it's CDC saying that vaccinated people can hang out together. I don't know if it's the promise of maybe some reduced audiences at concerts, and that summer is coming up and I know there's going to be outdoor music. I really do. So I'm feeling much more optimistic than I was about even 3 months ago. And I hope other people are feeling that way too.
Georgia?
Yeah, I have to say I agree with all that. I definitely feel, even in the last week, a shift with the optimism. I do think it's related to the vaccine, though I hadn't thought about it being spring, and literally snow melting outside feels like bears waking up from hibernation. But it hasn't been hibernation for me. It's been busier than ever. And I think there's been this strange urgency, and not so strange, this urgency to make sure that we're being productive during this time. I had a moment where Kate was actually asking me to play something, and I sat down at the piano and I had just the shock of, do I remember how to play the piano? I don't do this every day with the regularity that I have done. So I think for me, there's been a real panic in making sure that when the world does open it back up, that I'm still viable, that I still know how to do the things that I used to do. But also acknowledging that those things have to change. The industry has to change. Our place in it, the way we think about things has to change. And that's, as my hope is, as we move back into work, that we're really thinking about, okay, what are my responsibilities in this position are different now. What am I going to do?
And with that, what changes do you want to see in the Broadway industry when we do come back to, full force or half force or whatever it's going to look like, hopefully in, fingers crossed, September? But what changes would you want to see in the Broadway industry?
Well, I'm not going to say anything that anybody hasn't already said, but I think including more diversity of race, diversity of gender, diversity even of ages, and diversity of stories. I think we have many more stories to tell. I think this time of quiet reflection, or for some of us, but increased productivity for others, will unleash, a tidal wave of new stuff. And I think it's important to include, and I'm not alone in saying this, voices that have yet to be heard, and also changing the perception and the expectations of who the people are who are telling the stories and who's making it happen. What do they look like? One of our, we'll talk about this later in the broadcast, but Georgia and I are putting together a virtual fundraiser for the not-for-profit that she began called Maestra. And one of the stories that we've chosen to include is about a member who is a music director for a musical. And she was playing at an event. She sat her binder down on the piano, and a man came over to her and said, "Are you filling in for somebody today?" Because he didn't expect the woman to be the band leader, to be the music director, to be the person in charge. So our mission is to change some expectations. We've all had a lot of time to think about it, and now is the time to act.
And it's just when I hear stories like that, I don't even know if I actually have the words to describe just kind of like the of the moment when you hear things like that. And I do hope that taking this year, there's been so much talk about the change, and I do hope that once we are in rooms, that change actually happens. So it's not just, talking on Zooms for the past 12 months. Once we are in rooms with people, that change actually happens.
Yeah, we've been on a lot of calls lately where the leaders in the Maestra community are talking a lot about being intentional. That seems to be a phrase that we say over and over again. That I don't think there are many people who aren't having this conversation right now. I mean, I hope I'm not naive, but I think around the industry, people are having this conversation. People are aware that there are diversity needs, and that we have to just have a collective reawakening to what has to change. But I think a lot of people are saying, how? Okay, great. I know that I need to do it. What are the tools? What are the best practices? And the thing that I keep saying is we have to be intentional. There's so many other industries and other organizations that are paving the way by saying things like, every time you're about to make a hire, think again. Have I included people of color on the list of possibilities? Have I included women? Is this a predominantly white male group? Are these just people I know? Have I looked into someone? Am I taking a risk on someone that I don't really know? Have I done my research? So those sorts of intentional questions, I think, are the key. And that's what I hope is different, the intentionality. We're talking right now about a campaign called Get to Work. I'm just going to tease it a little bit here, called Get to Work, with the idea that as we get back to work, get to work, and change who gets to work. That's the most succinct I've ever said it, but this sort of triple meaning of what has to change.
And I also hope that change also happens with the education system, because we are educating our future performers and stage managers and directors and producers. So I do hope it trickles down to those educational opportunities as well, and we see change to bring the future generation into the Broadway industry or the theater industry, entertainment industry in general as well.
Well, that's interesting you point that out, because I feel like they are leading the charge in diversity. I feel like I learn more from people who are 20, 30 years younger than me because they expect it. You know,
Absolutely.
They expect women to be in charge. They expect people of color to be their teachers, their mentors, the leaders. So I look to them.
And it's, I think, just going to become a bigger topic of conversation. And I can't wait to see what change actually happens and when it happens. I'm not going to say if, when it happens. But with that said, I do want to talk about Maestra, because for those that don't know the organization, Georgia, can you give me just an overall of what Maestra is and how it came to be?
Yep. Maestra is a community, it's a network, and it's also a not-for-profit organization. It started in 2017 when I was music directing Sweet Charity, the off-Broadway production with Lee Silverman was the director, Sutton Foster was the star, Mary Mitchell Campbell wrote the orchestrations, and our charge was to hire an all-female band because they were going to be visible on stage. And Lee's vision for the show was that we were part of part of Charity's dressing room, that we were part of her girls. And we were in costume, and that was gonna be, and it was really, really, really hard to find 5 female musicians that played the specific instruments that we needed. And they had to be people diverse, not all white women. And so we went out to the contractors. Mary Mitchell and I went out to the contractors. We went out to the network of people, our boys that we normally hire. And it was just really hard to find that core group of musicians. And we said, why? Why is it so hard? Why is it hard for us? We should know these women. And so sort of informally, I started a spreadsheet of who the women were. And then people started asking me for the spreadsheet. And so I hired a web designer to build a directory because I didn't want to be the keeper of the spreadsheet. I was like, I'm not an agent. I don't want to be responsible for these women's careers. I just want you to know that they exist. And it grew from there. So it's been community building for 4 years. It's been looking at how can the composers be linked to each other? How can the bass players be linked to each other? How can you outside of New York find someone in your community? And so now it is, our mission statement is that we serve, there's my dog. We serve the women, non-binary and gender non-conforming musicians who make the music in the music theater industry. So composers, orchestrators, arrangers, pit musicians, copyists, everybody in the music department. And we have monthly meetings, and we have online technical workshops, and we have a mentorship program. So it's grown into a full-fledged not-for-profit organization, but at the core, it's a community.
And what type of classes are offered with Maestra? So if if you have someone who's brand new and someone who's actually looking to join, what can they expect from an online class, or once we're in person, an in-person class or an event or a forum? What can they expect from those opportunities?
Our online virtual technical workshop series is every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. They're free. Anyone who wants to can sign up. And the reason they're on mission is that they're always taught by a maestra. So we think there's real power in letting this woman be your teacher, that you learn some skill. And we have gone out to the greater community and said, teach something that you're passionate about. And the topics have been so broad ranging. Some of them are really technical, like how to use Logic or how to film a virtual performance. And some of them are about music directing or conducting, or here's how an accordion works, or here's how the pedals of a harp work, or just really whatever our members are really skilled at, where their knowledge base is. But we've been doing it for a year now, and we have a great library available on our website of video replays for people who want to watch some of the past classes, or anyone can sign up to participate in the ongoing ones.
And Kate, you're on the board of advisors for Maestra. So what does it mean to you to be a part of this organization and watch this organization grow for the past 4 years?
Well, it's interesting. I am sort of a new member of the advisory board. When, Georgia and I have had a long association of making music together, and she's my music director of choice when we've gone around the country together, playing concerts and traveling and making albums together, and musicals together too. So I've heard about Maestra for the past 4 years, and always marveled at Georgia's industriousness and her ability to connect people, and her ability to inspire people and to think about these big problems, and to try and find some solutions and try to gather the people who can make change happen. And I wanted to be part of that. So especially when the pandemic struck, and everybody was at home thinking, I got to thinking about, like, well, what really matters to me? What's important? Is singing songs on Broadway all that important? Right? It's not important right now. Can't do it anymore. So what am I going to think about? And I thought about the not-for-profit world, and I thought about all of the do-gooders, all of the superheroes who try and raise awareness and put funds and support towards a cause that is important to them. And I know so many wonderful female music makers, orchestrators, contractors, arrangers, composers, lyricists, conductors, and I've relied on them in the past. And I was like, well, how can I get involved? And I'm curious about the development world. I sort of started giving myself a little bit of a lesson. I bought books, I attended seminars and all that kind of stuff. And Georgia said, well, we're forming a development committee for Maestra in September. You want to join? And I said, yeah. And so I joined in on Zoom, and was pretty quiet for the first couple of weeks, because I was just listening to people who knew more than I did about fundraising, and about social media awareness, and about getting our mission statement out there. And Georgia and Laura Ivy had created a deck, a mission statement that was easily sent and downloaded to people with fun graphics and fun facts, and really a wealth of information. And it became really inspiring. And once we discovered that we were going to have a spring fundraiser, and I had been a part of so many virtual fundraisers, every not-for-profit theater I'd ever worked for came and said, we're doing our fundraising online now. Will you please sing us a song? And I have a pretty nice setup in my studio, because my husband does audiobooks for a living, thank goodness. So we had all the technical capabilities. We had lighting, we had sound, we had software to process it all. And so I thought to myself, well, I've watched so many of these fundraisers. Why don't I create one for Maestra? Not me by myself, but I think I know what elements to include and what stories to tell and which performances would represent us well. And so I think it was like October or November, Georgia, I just sort of put together a Google document and just said, what if our show looked like this? And Georgia said, yeah, go do it. and now we're 3 weeks out, and I'm like, we're doing it.
Kate says she marvels at my ability to connect people. And basically I said, why don't you come join this committee and learn from everyone else? And now she's in charge. She's running it.
So with with that said, you all are doing Amplify 2021, and it is on, I want to make sure I get it right, Monday, March 29th, and it is going to be hosted by Brooke Ashmankis and Andrea Burns. Kate, you are directing the event. Georgia, you are producing with Laura Ivy. So it's on the 29th, and the slew of talent that is a part of this concert, this virtual concert. I mean, Bernadette Peters, Eva Noblezada, Brandon Victor Dixon, Ashley Park. I mean, there's like stars galore. So what can people expect from Amplify 2021?
They can expect to have fun. They can expect to learn something about the community. They can expect to enjoy performances of songs that were written by women, by Maestra members. And they can expect to have a great time. I mean, it's really a celebration of community. And they're going to discover that they already know a bunch of Maestra, right? They're going to say, oh, I know her. Oh, yeah, that story feels familiar to me. And we are partnering with a digital partner called Broadway Unlocked. And they've created this really fun virtual venue. This is the part that when I signed up to, create a run of show and pick people to be in it, I didn't know anything about. So Georgia, do you want to talk a little bit about Broadway Unlocked and all the fun things that are planned for that?
Yeah. My friend Jessica Ryan is
she's the, can I just say, she's the best. She's the best.
Superwoman, right?
Yeah.
She's co-founder of Broadway Unlocked, and for years we've been circling around each other. I mean, I've done events for her company in the past, and she's written me periodically and saying things like, "I see what you're doing with Maestra. Let me know if I can ever help." It's just one of those things. And as this started growing and we started talking about a digital partner, I thought, wait. I think I know who to call. Broadway Unlocked. The thing that is most amazing, I think, about what they're doing, everything that they are digital partnering with is exactly like what Kate said, what we don't know how to do. But what they are doing that's so on mission for us is they're creating a virtual community. I keep saying that this is a community event, not just a video that you're going to watch or a Zoom call that you're going to be on, but they've created what they call a venue, a virtual venue. And so you go to the space, you'll get your unique invitation when you register, and you'll go to the space, and then you can go in the lobby, or you can go in the bar, or you can go into a chat room where the topic is this, or you can go into the gallery and look at things, or you can watch the pre-show, or all sorts of things like being at the theater. There are ways, if you know someone else is coming, there are ways to tag them and say, hey, where are you? What room are you in? And go meet up with them. So you can make dates to bring your friends and hang out with them at the Maestra event. And then at 8, that all starts at 7. And then at 8 o'clock, we go into the room together and we watch the show. And I always think my favorite thing about watching theater events on TV, and really when you watch the Tony Awards or, the Macy's Day Parade, is that we're all tweeting at the same time, like, oh my gosh, I love that. Oh, what is she wearing? Like all those sorts of things. And that's what we miss, is that, that community element of it. So that's what we're creating, lots and lots of ways that you can engage in that. All of that is free. And like any sort of fundraiser telethon, they'll be saying, donate here, text donate, lots of ways that you can participate. But we wanted to eliminate any barriers to access and say, anyone can come be part of the community. That's part of what we're doing, is breaking down those walls. So come, if you have money to give, of course, there are perks and there are VIP levels and there are more things that you can do, but anyone can participate.
And I will say, what Broadway Unlocked has created, the platform that they've created, is user-friendly and so easy to use. And I was a part of the Junior Theater Festival that they wound up partnering with Broadway Unlocked with. And with the room situation and being able to travel throughout the platform, it is super user-friendly, and it is actually a really exciting platform to be on when a live event is happening. So I'm really excited that you guys are working with Jessica and Broadway Unlocked, because it's a really cool platform.
Agree.
I know that there are also a couple of special opportunities, because I believe there are some breakout rooms that are happening, correct? Where if you donate a certain amount of money, there's going to be some Broadway stars in those rooms. Can you tell us a little bit about that opportunity as well?
Sure. We wanted to create something special for people who had some money to give. I've enlisted some Broadway pairs. So in each, we'll have 6 rooms, and in each room will be a Broadway pair. So for instance, friends like Gavin Creel and Celia Keenan Bolger, they'll be in a room. And if you paid I think $50 is the first level. You could go spend 20 minutes in a room with them. And there will be a moderator there. You can ask questions. You can just listen to them chat about stuff. They're endlessly entertaining and dear friends to each other and to me. And so it would be a really fun way to sort of like peek in and see them. And then we have five more rooms. We've got Andrew Reynolds and Nikki James, and then we have all three shares, Stephanie J. Block and Teal Wicks and Michaela Diamond. And it was really fun to go through and ask people to participate. And everybody was like, oh yes, I've heard about Maestra. I know it. Yes. Do I have to sing anything? No? Great. I'm in.
Great.
So that should be a really fun hour after the show. So the show should come down at around 9. It might be a little longer than that. I don't know. And then we'll have our hour of post-show rooms for those special Broadway pairs. Also, we'll have a piano bar. So if you want to go and hear a fabulous piano bar performer, you can go there. You can give virtual tips and ask for and request songs that way. And all proceeds go to Maestra. And then there will be ways for people to meet up as well afterwards. So once again,
will you mention the other rooms just so that all the names are mentioned? The other
the other rooms. Okay, did I say everybody? I said, Caitlin Kinnunen and Izzy Michaela is another room. Rob McClure and Jen Colella is another room. And who am I forgetting?
Erica Henningsen and Ashley Park.
Ashley Park. Yeah, our mean girls, who are nice girls, not mean girls.
Who are very nice girls.
Yeah.
And the way that works, just so I've said, the way that works is for a $50 donation, you get to go in one room. I think it's the next level, you can go into 3 rooms, and the next level, the top level is like a free pass. You can move around in all of the rooms, and that's a $500 ticket. But with that, our wine sponsor, Oceana Wines, will send a bottle of their best wine to your house, so that you can enjoy that while you're popping around in all the different rooms.
I'm not knocking any other virtual event that has happened. All of them have been fabulous, but just the fact that there are so many opportunities with this Amplify 2021 event sounds just the best interactive experience you could possibly imagine, with so many different features. So I applaud you both for producing, Kate directing this event, because it sounds like it's going to be so much fun.
It's a bunch of women who miss having parties, I gotta tell you.
Absolutely.
I mean, and I will say the 3 of us were in a room together, socially distanced, for an event at Open Jar Studios a couple weeks. And I will say, I miss being in a room with people so badly for a performance after that. It was like the best gift to be just have a piano in a room and listen to Kate perform, and Georgia, you accompany her. I mean, so it's just like, I miss it so much.
Us too.
So again, I want to tell people March 29th, 7 p.m., Broadway Unlocked, but everything you can find out about the event is on maestra.com, all the social media.
Maestramusic.org.
Sorry, maestramusic.org, my apologies. I do want to ask, where do you want to see Maestra in 5 years? What's kind of that goal that you want to see for the organization in 5+ years?
I was on the board of the Lilly Awards for many years, and Lisa Crone was also on the board, playwright Lisa Crone. And she said something that stuck with me. She said, the goal for a not-for-profit is that you are so successful that you no longer need to exist. So my long-term goal for Maestra is that we can dissolve because we've solved the problem. That specific to our mission, gender parity becomes the norm, that you wouldn't dream of putting together a creative team without checking to make sure that you've got balance, that you've got diversity, that you've got lots of different voices represented. I have never been a fan of like having a quota, a percentage, like we're going to get to 50%. Not every project needs 50%, but the cumulative effect of this work is that it feels balanced. And then I think you can't just solve for gender parity. You have to solve for all sorts of parity. And so you can't be doing work in a feminist space without doing work in a racially diverse, inclusive space, and looking at questions of ability, looking at questions of ageism, that all of it is about who gets a seat at the table. That's the catchphrase, who gets a seat at the table. And have we made sure that we are breaking down the barriers to access, and that everyone who is skilled, talented, and passionate has a chance to be here. So everything about the organization is getting to the point where we no longer have to exist. And then I can just go retire on a beach somewhere.
I think
With
that's
the
the
piano
ultimate,
and
the
cake.
ultimate with the piano, I was going to say. This interview is airing during Women's History Month. We're in the middle of International Women's Week. Women's Day on Broadway is happening on Friday. For both of you, who are some of the women in the industry that you have looked up to, that you that have been mentors to you? Who are some of those women for you?
You want me to go?
Susan Stroman. I'm going to say Susan Stroman first because she was my director on Big Fish. She knows I call her the general. Because
Marsha Norman for me. Yeah. Marsha Norman is one of the first women that said, when she invited me to the Lilies, the board of the Lilies, and then she said, you need to get involved with the Dramatists Guild. She basically opened a door and said, you should step through here. I'm going to help you. 100%.
I love that. Both amazing choices. You can't get any better than that. Kate, Georgia, thank you so much for joining iHeartRadio Broadway today. Again, Amplify 2021, March 29th, 7 p.m. I implore you all to go watch this event because I guarantee you're going to have a blast and learn something at the same time. So thank you both so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.